And this thing has got some color, hasn't it?
You can see from the bottle, like this thing, it's pretty dark.
Yeah. There is some character in there for sure.
Really excited about this one. This is from Driftless Glen up in Baraboo, Wisconsin. And not only is this from, the distillery themselves, they don't source. They've always been producing just for themselves. This is an exclusive limited edition that's a port finished bourbon. So the cool thing about Driftless Glen, they've been distilling in Wisconsin. They're up in the Driftless region, really great water up there. They haven't been doing any sourcing. They started distilling a while ago, and they just waited and waited and waited. And to much to everyone's surprise, like they have more barrels than anyone else in Wisconsin, and they have more barrels than most of the distilleries in Wisconsin combined. So they are a big operation. This guy is at least 5 years old, and it's bottled at 50% ABV. So kind of right in the same wheelhouse as these Whistle Pigs, but with a little wine kick.
Yeah. It's got a lot of wine character, actually, but not in like a overly sweet or overly fruity way. It kind of works nicely, actually, with the base bourbon in there.
Yeah. I mean, port is always difficult because port is such a strong fortified wine. For friends of the show who haven't had port before, it's from Porto, Portugal. It's a fortified wine, so it's wine with usually like some other type of spirit, maybe some brandy added that really bumps the proof, bumps the viscosity. Like John's showing, like this stuff is dark, and port barrels can impart a lot of flavor quickly. So hopefully this isn't too jammy, but at 50%, like that's I think one of the better proofs, especially for finished bourbon. And knowing Driftless is a little on the sweeter side, it's got nice oak integration. Hopefully this comes out well.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely is a sweeter pour. It doesn't strike me as being cloying or too sweet or anything like that. There's like a mild nuttiness to it right on the front. It's kind of like a cool spin on like a charcuterie, with like some of the nuts on the table and some fruits and jams and stuff like that. There's a lot of cool stuff going on with that. I kind of dig there. The finish falls a little bit short on this one, but overall, like, there's nothing that I don't like in there.
I love the you call this. I'm gonna call this the charcuterie of bourbon because you're totally right. Nice. This has like that jam. This has maybe that dark chocolate. This has some of those like cracker and nutty notes. It's got everything on there except maybe like in Wisconsin we got the relish pickles and stuff. But yeah, this is sweet on the nose, sweet on the palate, but it's jammy and earthy. It's got some of that nice dryness and spice that comes with port. It's definitely not as sweet as I thought it would be.
No, it's actually, I was a little scared with the color, thinking that this was going to be something reminiscent of the Basil Hayden dark rise or dark rum finish. Like, the things that are just a little bit punchy, but not necessarily in a bourbon way. And overall, this is quite nice.
Yeah, I like this. And 50% ABV is working well here too. Like it's really rich on the palate, and I agree that it has a shorter finish, but I think I kind of like that here because some of these wine finish, like just having a long, eternal, like jammy, sweet, like that can be a little overbearing if you're trying to have more than just like a little half pour.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So I would say that the way that this is integrated with the finish is not unlike the High West Midwinter Night's Dram.
Right.
Where it's in there, it's noticeable, it works, but it is a good component rather than taking over and being, front center of the stage, performing the entire show itself.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, some people accuse me of being a Driftless Glen fanboy just because they're here in Wisconsin where I am too, but we have plenty of bad distilleries. We won't talk about those, but I am happy to talk about Driftless because every time I go up and try something new, really great time. So if you find yourself around Madison, Wisconsin, first off, send me an email, j@whiskeyraiders.com. We'll get a drink together. But then let's head on up to Driftless. They have a lot of interesting exclusives. This is also a distillery exclusive. They've got some fun stuff to try.
Yeah, I think so. And just a final note on that is that the oak is kind of integrating really good in there too. I mean, it does hold that all together. So if I could ask for a little more out of it, it might be a little bit more viscosity, a little bit more on the finish, but kind of splitting hairs there with everything else it's doing right. So overall, cool product.
Yeah, and one final note, they have an interesting mash bill. This is 75% corn, 12.5% caramel malt, and 12.5%, I believe it's distiller's malt, so kind of a more just general malted barley.
Standard. Yeah.
we don't see that 75-25, corn to malted barley. And for as sweet as you'd expect that mash to be, like this holds on really nicely to both the oak and the port. So I think they're onto something with that little more unique mash bill as well.
Yeah, they got something figured out. That's good overall.